Today we have Lars, young entrepreneur himself, a man I work with for many, many years, and he knows a lot about my philosophies and how I work, and as well an entrepreneur himself. So he will put some questions at me that I will try to answer in the best possible way.
Exactly. Yes, and that's actually also how I got to know you. That 10 years ago I saw a YouTube clip. I was interested in being an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur, and I always dreamt about becoming an entrepreneur. So it became my reading time, you can say, before bedtime. I saw clips of different entrepreneurs, and I stumbled upon an interview with you and said, yes, it's an hour long. Let's just see the first 10 minutes, then I can go to sleep. But I have to admit, I couldn't get my eyes off it because it was such a different kind of interview. And I never heard about a Danish guy who had the visions and the way of thinking than you did. So it was so interesting for me. And I started following you, and I don't know how that happened, but all of a sudden, actually, I became a part of the journey. Yeah. So for me, that was the first lesson in being an entrepreneur. That was working with you for 5-6 years, where we went out in the world, and I learned all the things that you had to show to the world. So that was
I think I like that point where you put there, Lars, that you say that I'm a different entrepreneur. Yes. And in many ways, that's also what I'm trying now to transmit to people around the world, that I'm not like the guys who you can sit and look at the podcast or YouTubes that says the normal things. I'm actually a man who did it and know how it's been done in the real field. My theory is not very high or anything, because I did it in practical. And I know how it works, and I come to the conclusion, and you know that is one of my passions, that most of all this is all about the people. It's about getting the people to work for you, work with you, because you can't do anything by yourself. My sister has a lovely saying. She says, my brother, he can do absolutely nothing. Besides, he can make people do everything. And that is actually how it is, because I have my limits in terms of technical skills and all these things, but I know what I want, and I know how I want to get transmitted, and I always have an idea of how it has to be. Like it has, how much I go into the details very often. Exactly. Because that is also something that happened with the Pandora business. It was, of course, that I went into the details. I made the small things work perfectly in the big machine. So the transmission, the understanding of the brand, how we talk to the customers and all these things, all was put together in the right way. So it could be transmitted out to the people. And you know yourself as an entrepreneur today that is maybe the most difficult skill, to get the dots to connect and make it all blow up. And you've seen me making things blow up a couple of times now, how I do it. Yes. With the simple sales psychology. Yes. And at the end of the day, it's about the people. Yes. It's about making the people work together, dot together, and make people understand what you're trying to tell them. Because you can have the most beautiful project, the most beautiful product, or whatever, but if you can't do it right in all the way down to the end consumer, that means that maybe you're too stingy with the commissions for your sales rep, you're going to fail. Yes. Maybe you don't want to invest enough in marketing, you're going to fail. Even though you have the best product in the world, it doesn't matter. Yes. So there's 100 things that needs to be put together, and that is where I have my strength as an entrepreneur, that I'm really good at putting the things together, so the end of it comes out the right way. Whether you've seen me many things that I've done that blew up. The funny story on how we met is also quite interesting. Let me tell that better than you. Yes. Because you are, besides that you are a skilled entrepreneur, you are also a singer and a musician. And you wrote me one day on the social media, so I actually made a song for you and one of your projects. And I found that, of course, very intriguing, as I always do. You know that I answer. And I said, that's very interesting. And actually, I think you even won a competition that I did. Yes. Where I did that I do like to do competitions, because competition, that later on in our different projects where we work with gamifications. Because gamification is a trick of attention. So you get people to get into using the games. Yes. And you get a lot of attention. It's a sales trick. And you won one of the competition where you actually had to go to Barcelona to watch a football game with me. Exactly. And we met there, and you played the song for me. And from that day on, you were hired, and you have been working with us in different projects all the time since then. Yeah. And because I look for talent. I did a lot of sports teams as well. To win championships, you need to put the right people together and make them function as a team. Exactly. We created maybe the best handball team the world ever saw. by using other methods that people normally would do. We took a mixture of older players where everybody said they're over the hill, they're gone, and very young players and big world stars, and I put it all together, gave them the perfect, surroundings, the best trainer, the best training facilities, everything, and they never disappointed me. And I can easily say that with all the teams that I work with throughout the years. You also worked in many of my teams. There's always a feeling of never letting each other down. We always go the last miles together and do it as a team together. And that is, where I have my superpowers as an entrepreneur, is to put teams together and make them work for the goal that I set out for them. And of course, every time somebody lands in some kind of challenge or thing, I will help and assist. And you know me, I always do it in a very positive way.
Yes.
I'm never shouting at anybody, I never get angry or anything. No. I always come with proactive, solutions and new possibilities of doing things. And that is what I want to try to learn to people in the future, that there are other ways. I'm the different entrepreneur, but my results speaks for themselves. Yes. So it's not that there is wrong or right or anything, but I'm just different. I do it in different ways. And I have some people that I look up to as well, an elder generation from me. My big hero when I was a young entrepreneur was Richard Branson, yes. Which is, of course, now a very old generation, but still, what I loved about him was his views on different things, how he looked, and basically the people skills. Yeah. Because my superpower is people.
Yes.
And this is exactly that I want to transmit moving forward now. Not just, in Denmark, everybody knows me. But I want to move that on to go to another stage and try to make it into a global movement where we focus a lot more. I think the world needs more focus on people and less focus on balance sheets and calculations and numbers. Yes. We need to talk more about people, because at the end of the day, it's people who's creating these brands. And that's also why we're in a people's business with Pandora, because Pandora is all about women. It's hundreds of millions, maybe billions of women now who knows this brand. And that is my job and my hope in the future, that I will be able to motivate young entrepreneurs like yourself to do differently and think differently, and don't be afraid of not doing it the way that everybody wants you to do it, Exactly. So that is something that I'm trying to bring to the world.
Definitely. So when you say you need to learn skills about people, what do you exactly mean by that? I know what you mean about it, but it would be nice that, because I know a common skill that you and I have is to be good, to talk nicely to people and just be nice and have empathy and stuff like that. How big a part is that of when you're doing entrepreneurial
It's
ventures?
much bigger than you think. Because most people think, I have to be strong in some kind of calculations or Excel sheets. Or I have to have been working for McKinsey or something completely ridiculous companies. I find them completely ridiculous. Yes. How can we have companies like Boston Consulting or McKinsey who's advising having no responsibilities? The only thing that we as entrepreneurs has 100% is responsibility. So I think we underestimate the importance of people in every single part of that business, because you can make any business work. People often ask me, now we talked briefly before, I never wore jewelry. Why are you in the jewelry business? I'm famous for being the Messi of jewelry. Yes. But how can that be? You don't know much. I don't know so much about jewelry. And it could also have been another kind of business, because that was not so important for me. What I love about jewelry is the fact that nobody needs it. So we are selling something that only brings joy and pleasure. I like that, basically. And then I found out doesn't matter whether we are talking about jewelry, whether we are talking about water, whether we're talking about football teams or handball teams or whatever we're talking about. It's all about making the people work together. Yes. Get the transmission out, get it told. And I think it's very difficult to see a business school class saying, today we learn about people. That's something that you have to, but you have to take it very seriously. Yes. You have to be serious about how you communicate with people, always positive, all proactive. I have now been running global billion-dollar businesses for 30 years. Yes. I never talk bad to anyone. No. Never. No customer, no supplier, no employee, nobody. Because that brings in business absolutely nothing. We cannot lose control. We have to overview the situation. And when you get angry or you get in despair, it's a sign of weakness. Yes. So you should always be prepared for these things. So be gentle, be kind. Yes. It's a nice thing. Be positive. Yeah. Get up every morning and try to be positive, because there's always a solution for everything. And we can always move on. And different business projects requires different skills. But the one skill that they all need is the people skill.
Yes.
Because unless you can invent something, I'm not Elon Musk, I can't invent a space rocket, yeah? I can just make people work together and try to make that into a business, yeah?
Exactly. And I also think it's people, they feel, and you at once, that you're very authentic. So when they feel that authenticity, I also personally think that's something there's too little of in the world. I think when you're with a group of people and you talk, you can feel instantly if it's not authentic, if it doesn't come from the heart, and or if it's something that you just say to make everyone laugh and, you know, be kind of a clown or just fit in. Yeah. And that's when you are like your fresh air, because you can always feel when
you feel I'm present. It's a little bit sad you can't get that through the medias, of course, and through the different. But of course, when it comes to live performances from me, you can really feel how I'm burning through the walls, you know, because I'm really standing there passionate about what I'm doing, and of course it is passion that makes global brands like Pandora, you know, it's $1 billion business, and it's the most successful and the biggest jewelry company in the world, and it just came out of a little suburb in Copenhagen. Come on, and we were just having a product that 5 other companies had at the same time. We didn't even invent it, you know, but they didn't have a Jesper, you know, and that is, you know, the secret behind Pandora is, of course, that we had some strong, you know, human skills that could make at the first stage Pandora big in Germany. So the German jurors and German jurors are very stubborn, you can imagine. But I slowly, with my charm and with my authenticity, how authentic I was to them, and the willingness always to find solutions. You know, every customer is different. We try to say, this is how we want to sell to the customer, and we put them all in one box. Yes. But that is something I always told my sales reps, there are no rules out there. You just need to get me the yes. Yes. Of course, don't give our products away. It's business. But anyway, if they say, no, we would like the box to be in 6 different pieces every time it comes, then it comes. We find a solution for that. Because the only thing we want from the customer was a yes. Because it was all about creating the yeses all the way to the end. Yes. That to the end led to that the end consumer started to get to know our brand. Yes. Because awareness, reach, 2026, 2016, 2006 is the key. Yeah. There's different ways to get there as through the different decades, but basically it is the same issue or the same purpose that we have. And that is, my purpose was clear after I found out that like 50% of women, they like Pandora. Yes. We tested that. And when I found out that that was the point, then I said, it's very simple for us now. We just have to get every single woman in the world or girl to know about the Pandora brand. And they have to have a place where they can buy it. Yes. 2 simple tasks. So every decision that I made from that day on was with that end goal. Yes. Because it's quite simple. So if you have a product, and you've seen me done it in other projects as well, if something is working, I just keep pushing and putting more into the engine and pushing and making, because also the results itself brings a lot of energy into the people and make them believe in impossible things can happen. Like when you have a team in the 4th division, and I tell them now we're going to play in the Champions League final in 5 years. I have calculated we're going to be there in 6 years. And people say, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. No, not with these players. But slowly we change the players as we're going. Yes. And then at the end we were standing there. But it's a calculated, it's a calculation. Yeah. And then, of course, you have to be willing on the journey. As you know, also now as a young entrepreneur, the risks. You see how I play with high risks all the time. I'm willing to put myself in the middle of the scenario. You see how I get tortured by the press sometimes because I'm courageous. Yes. People who knows me, I always say that I've never heard anybody knowing me who talk bad about me. But it's people who's at the outside who's not a part of it, they can talk bad about you. Yes. But always remember, guys, around the world, that sometimes when people are hating on you and talking bad about you, it's all about jealousy. There's nothing else into that than jealousy. So then the more hate you get, the more successful you are. And never be afraid to be too successful. Of course, you have to be aware that, like I have the disease of wanting to be number 1 in everything I do. World biggest jewelry brand, world biggest handball team. I won the biggest private tax cases of my country. I didn't win 1. I took 2. Yes. Now I have the biggest court case ever in the history of Denmark. You know, I like to break records and I like to make crazy ththings happen. And that's because I'm not afraid. Exactly.
I also think that's what people forget sometimes because you often read in the stories, because newspaper, they sell more if it's a negative angle there is to it. And then if you read something like that you owe the tax authorities XXX $1 million, I guess what you never think about is, well, how did it get to that? how can you owe the tax authorities so much? Maybe because you created something spectacular on the other end, but they never write anything about that because there's no clicks in it.
And that's of course what, when we talk about the press, that is okay. You know, it's normal for a guy like me. You know, Denmark is a little country.
Yes.
They're not used to people with my mindset. You know, like brands of the size of Pandora, we have two in the whole Denmark. You know, we have Lego and we have Pandora. So what we created with Pandora was something very unique. And when it's too unique and people don't understand it, then they start to say that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Yes. And of course, I always compare myself with my two co-founders. One is living in Thailand and the other one is living in America. And they are like local heroes. You know, they get special passports, they get avenues called after them. And me, I got completely tortured in Denmark and say, you're terrible, you're terrible, you're terrible. Got attacked by the tax authorities for absolutely no reason. It was something they invented. Took me 6-7 years where they destroyed my life to win the cases. You know, they did everything they could to destroy me. And again now, then Pandora decided on, it was not Pandora, it was the equity behind Pandora who decided me not to pay me my rightful amount for my shares. And I couldn't prove it in the first court case. But then, of course, with the help of all the whistleblowers, I now got the chance to prove it. And there's no doubt that this case is going to be won, because you can always say when one party is only fighting not to get into the courtroom, that's the guys who's going to lose, I always say. So it's a very simple everything, but it's not simple at all, because the counterpart, when we're talking about 1.3 billion, they're crazy. They'll do anything they can. Yeah. And on the other hand, when people say, oh, it's a very hard battle for you, I say, okay, my friend, when would you give it up when we're fighting about 1.3 billion? Would you get it after 3 months, 6 months, or never? I think I'll choose third option.
Never.
I would say never. So for me, it's nothing, no problem. I don't have any problems fighting these cases. I'm born for this. I was born to do incredible things that changes the world. And I accepted my destiny. It's a part of my life. And this court case is for me the most intriguing, exciting project I ever had. Especially because everybody thought I would never come back.
No. And
then I come back again. And surprise everybody and say, he's back again. And of course the media say, now we thought we took him down, we destroyed him. And now I'm back stronger than ever. And I found a way through the social medias also that we didn't have that in the old days. You know, in the old days, they could kill a guy like me. But now we have the social medias. Now I get the chance to speak the truth myself. Yes. In the old days, you know, you didn't have a chance. There was only the newspapers. And if they killed you, you're strong because everybody thought that was the truth. Yes. But nowadays, we have the social medias. I have now the most followed LinkedIn profile of my country. Yes. And that's, of course, where I have my own voice. Yes. And, of course, the media, they hate it. Yeah. Because it doesn't fit in their picture, you know. That what I write there is the truth. Because they can never say anything, and I always document it. I know how to do these things. Yes. So the whole media scenario is I and people will be surprised how well I communicate also with these journalists that talks and writes very bad about me. I don't have a problem with that because they're just doing their job.
From the outside, you take it very lightly. It seems like you know you're just doing your job, guys.
Yeah. I tell them, I feel sorry for you. You also have a miserable life. You live in a shitty house. You know, I'm the guy who tried everything, you know. I feel a little bit sorry for you, but I come and cheer a little bit on you and I like you, you know. I like everybody, basically. Yes. So I understand him. I have so much empathy that I can put myself in the position of a journalist and say, I know what he's doing. Yes. It's a clickbait. He can go to his chief editor and say, I wrote about Jesper and we got so much views. Always when we write about Jesper, we get a lot of views. Why don't we write more about him?
Exactly. They actually kind of like you.
Exactly.
Because
well, I'm a funny figure for them, yeah.
Exactly.
And we had a great milestone last week where I had front page number 500 of my country, putting me in top 5 in the country all time. So I'm not I did many things, you know, but I also have to accept that 300 of them there writing bad about me and 200 writing good. Exactly. That's the game. But at least I get to the front page, you know.
Exactly. Oh, that's good. Can you maybe, just so people understand, you said that that some of the partners in Pandora, they got everything they wanted, they got everything they earned and deserved, but you were left out. Yeah. Can you maybe try to explain for people who don't know it, why do you think that it was you specifically that they went
I think
for?
It was nothing about me personally. It was about timing. Yes. You know, I was the young guy of the 3 founders, and I said, I don't want to leave. You know, if they were at my age that I have now, and if somebody came to me today and said, hey, Jesper, we're going to give you 400 million if you're going to leave now, I would say, yes, it's fine. I'm good. Yeah. But of course, I was very young at that time. You know, I said, no, I don't want to leave. I have a great job here. I'm running the biggest jewelry business in Europe. I'm flying my private jet. I have my football team. I have my handball team. I have 600 employees. We're doing millions, hundreds of millions of revenue. I'm good. I will stay in. And we found a solution on how I could stay in and still be working for the next 10 years as a CEO for Pandora and make a lot of money through that. Then I decided after sometimes I don't really function in this new model of Pandora with the corporate things, and I lost the majority of the shares. So I decided, okay, I leave, but you still have to pay me. And that was a mistake because I didn't know in my wildest fantasy could I imagine that when I left, they would start to fix the numbers so it wouldn't be profitable. And that's exactly what they did. So I got another agreement because I wanted to. They took their money right away and they left, my co-founders. I said I stay in also because I knew that Pandora was going to grow significantly like they did. When I left, it was about $1 billion revenue. Now it's $5 billion. And we all could see that was going to come because we spread it out to new markets. More women would get to know it and so forth and so further. So I actually just got a little bit unlucky in that matter because then when they had to pay me, it didn't really fit them to pay me. And I was a little bit taken down by the tax authorities, so they just took a chance on me. So it was nothing personal, I think. But it got personal for me because I said, you can't cheat a founder. I created that business for you sitting, pulling money in like crazy, and now you're making fun with the numbers here, so I don't get any money. And I couldn't prove it. So we had a court case, everything went fine, but we couldn't prove it because they showed fake numbers. And then what happened 1.5 years ago was the incredible thing that the big God will always look at you. And he helps me. He said, okay, by coincidence, suddenly I have a clear sight over the social media. I understood what the hell is going on here. And then I started to pick up the whistleblowers of Pandora. It was not easy to get them out, but slowly I got them out. And luckily, most of them already stopped in the business. So I could pick them out. So I picked out the whistleblowers one by one, and they showed me the true world. And that was far away from what Pandora assures in the former court case. And of course, then I came back to them and I asked them, why do I have these numbers? They couldn't answer. And then I knew I had them. Because if they could have answered right away and said, that's not a problem because blah, blah, blah. But they couldn't. And when people can't answer, if they say it's confidential, they're lying. Rule number 1, always remember they're lying. So I just started, and now it's just a process where we have to go through it and get in front of the judges, and the judges is going to vote in my favor, and of course then Pandora will have to pay me. But I can tell you, Pandora will try everything they can to kill me on the journey. Yes. They have no limits, these guys. They're dirty as hell.
Can you give some examples of what you can do if you know you're not going to win this case? Then what
okay, I will teach people now what you do if a man is you have a bad call. First of all, you try to shut down all his social medias. That's what you cyber attack all his social media, especially if he has a strong public voice. Kill him. So what they did was they attacked my pages on the social medias. So the algorithms of the different pages automatically shut down your page because they think something is wrong.
You have one of the biggest followed LinkedIn profiles in Denmark.
And they attacked it like crazy. Yes. They had 100 a minute that called in and said there was something wrong here. I was selling illegal products. I was showing not reasonable content and lying content and all different kinds. And they shut down. And I'm now on my 3rd appeal case. I won the 2 first and just need the last one. Then I'm going to get free again, but they're probably going to do it again. Then they tried to bankrupt me, and they blocked all my bank accounts all around Europe. Luckily, I also had bank accounts out of Europe, so I could survive. But they did all the dirty tricks they could do. They hacked my mail. They sent mails to everybody in my mail list. Don't support him. Don't support him. He's lying. He's not lying. He's a fraud. Blah 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 blah. Doing everything they can. So shut down social medias. Good step. Try to bankrupt them. Good step. Take their bank accounts, another good step, and hack their mails. That's what they did. So it doesn't get any more dirty than this is a bad movie. But that's the fact, and that's how afraid they are this is going to happen, yeah? Yes. But it's okay. I just keep on track. I tried this before. They trained a monster. I've been through this. Pandora didn't come from nothing. There were also some obstacles on our way when we built it up, Pandora. Then I had the 2 most complicated private tax cases of my country. You have 3% chance to win a tax case in Denmark. I have 2. I won. And that's, because I don't give up. And always remember, you have not lost until you give up. And I never give up, so I cannot lose. No. But I had to give up on this case because I lost. But I only lost because they were doing tricks. They were cheating. But I find out, and that's destiny. Don't cheat. It will always come out. The truth is like water. It runs, and it will always come out. And that's why they can't kill this case now. There's been 70 newspaper articles in the last year about this in Denmark because it won't die. Because it's the truth. Exactly. And that's the problem, because if it's not true, 2 articles, it's gone. Yes. But new documents keep arising. New sound files of people telling that they cheated Jesper, all this, so they can't make it die. So now we are at the last battle, because we are now entered the last stage of the battle. Yes. And that's the court case. That's in the court.
Exactly. But they're still trying to avoid this.
Of course, now they're fighting in there. They're fighting.
And when you tell me all these examples, I also think that is kind of a proof in itself that they actually don't focus on the case itself. They focus on all other kinds of things.
Yeah, that's the reason for
when the simple thing is just kindly answer what it's all about. Answer the question, and then the court would be...
Show us why we have two different accountings for the same company.
Exactly.
Show us why one showed a profit of 1.6 billion that the whistleblower showed to us, and that is the right numbers, and show us why you sent minus 400 million to Jesper and said there is no money for you.
Exactly.
It would take a normal person 5 seconds to explain. But if you can't explain, you start to talk about all different kind of things. It's already settled in another court case. You can't reopen a case. Blah, blah, blah. Truth will always come out.
And basically, that's what you do in your LinkedIn profile. I follow it, and then everything you basically do, you do it in a fast pace. You do it often, but basically all you do is telling the truth, and you basically you repeat yourself a lot of times. Because the truth hasn't changed from a year ago. So what you said a year ago is the same now. And they keep doing all kind of weird stuff. So there's something fishy about that in nature, I would say.
Yeah, and if you can't show, and then they tell me it's confidential. How can it be confidential to show the truth? And then they say, but it's also confidential. Why is confidential? I say, what kind of Muppet show are you in, my friend? You know. So when we get to the court case now, it's actually, and it will come through 2026. It's quite simple. It's not going to be like 5 days and blah, blah. It's going to be 1.5 days. And we're not even going to fill it out because they cannot come with any evidence that it's not true. They just say, no, it's we came through within the first court case. Yeah, because you cheated. Yeah. But now you have to show to us what is the difference? Why is 2 billion missing in the accounting that we now see? Because 2 billion is a lot. How did you remove them? Can you show? We can't show. We won't show. And you know, first, how I did it is first I asked them very kindly because maybe I misunderstood something or maybe they made a mistake. So I asked very, very kindly the chairman and the CEO, can you explain? I wrote them a nice mail saying, I don't understand why I have all these documents. I don't understand why I have the whole whistleblower team here, the former management of Pandora, telling me that you cheated me. Can you please explain it to me? And I said, I invited them to a meeting and they didn't reply. I said, that was very strange. Because if you can explain, why don't you just explain it to your former founder? That would be good behavior. Yes. Then I asked my lawyers to send a letter to them and say, can you please explain to us why we're sitting with all these? We have 3,000 documents showing another number than you showed us in the court case. No answer. Then we entered with a journalist, and the journalists, of course, they couldn't believe us. And then they started investigating, and then they start to ask Pandora as well. And what did Pandora say? We can't answer. We can't answer. Of course, you can't answer. Then, of course, happens that the court we go to the court, and they can't answer the court either. Of course, the cases goes on. Then, of course, the police comes in, and they ask them, and the police says, we can also see there's a difference, but they erased the documents, so we can't see what they did. Exactly. The only question we have to get answered now is, what is the 2 billion? Yes. And, of course, they can't answer that, but they will fight it till the very end, the day before, to say, no, it's wrong, he didn't do it, he's lying, But I have the documents. I have the witnesses. Give us the explanation. Exactly. Give us the explanation, guys. Yes. How difficult can it be? No, but it's confidential. But how confidential can it be? Come on, it's 5 years ago. It's not confidential. Just show it to us so we all know. And now we have, 4,500 Danish investors as a part of our case. We're inviting in hundreds of thousands of new investors all around the world. So we all can stand up against these liars. Exactly. Because this is what we have to do in this world when we see these big, crazy business guys cheating and doing all that fraud to all the normal people, the founders of the company. Now we nail you because I got you guys. I got you by the balls. We have the documents. You have to tell us in court what it is. Otherwise, 1.3 billion to pay here. And that's, of course, the core of the case right now. So right now, it's very legal, everything. That's why it's also, unfortunately, the arbitration is confidential, and I have to accept that. I will. But the court case is running now, and we will be waiting for the verdict during 2026. Or Pandora will come out with a settlement and say, okay, 3 days before they say, okay, you made it till there. Yes. But until then, they're going to try to do everything they can to cheat me. They said all their soldiers, all their power, all the media is against me to stop me. But they forget there's one reason we have a Pandora today, and that's me. There's one reason why I won my 2 tax cases, and that's me. And when I got to know this, I told everybody around me, this is never going to end until I win. Because now I know from what I see in the documents and what the former management are telling me, that you guys, you cheated me. Exactly. but maybe there could be an explanation. Now I gave you the chance, I think, for 1.5 years to give it to me.
Yeah.
I said, you can't do it. You have to give it to the judges, because this is how the system works. I was taught that through my tax cases. I know how it works. They trained a monster, because I know exactly how law system is working, because I've been training doing these cases, winning my tax cases. And when you have taxes, law cases against, guys, remember, don't give it to your lawyers. You have to win them yourselves. So, of course, I put together now a dream team of lawyers, but led by me. And we will now run this to the very end. There will come obstacles nonstop every day. They will try to put a new stone in front of us, make it more expensive, make it more complicated. And I just slowly remove, dismantle everything they do until we sit in front of the 3 judges, and they will have to explain to them why we're missing 2 billion in that accounting.
Yes, that's great. I know I have a lot of friends who who likes the truth as much as good people do, and of course they ask me what's going on with the court case, and this is crazy what's coming out, and they kind of like wanna be a part of it somehow. They would like to support somehow. What is your message to everyone who wants to support you in your court case?
Yeah, but right now we have been opening up for this in Denmark for the last, 1.5 years, where people can go in and get a little split of it and support us, and also, of course, have a big upside in making a lot of money into it, But now we're going to invite the whole world into it, since Pandora is global. I'm a global entrepreneur, and if we have 4,500 Danish people who was willing to come in and support us, maybe there's 450,000 around the world who want to join this movement of putting these fraudsters into the right place once and for all. So now we invite people in from all around the world to take a little cut of our court case, be a part of it, get access to special information, get access to the possibility to be a part of it, and get the access to be a part of a big movement who fight against all these, big equity guys who robs us all the money, the entrepreneurs who actually build the businesses. So you can go in our homepage, you can follow us on our different social medias, and you can go in and you can have a little cut. It takes only 5 seconds, then you're a part of the case, and you get all the internal informations about the court case, about anything, because suddenly you're a part of it. Because we invite in thousands of people to be a part of it with us. And I believe in the energy that you can also see in my different projects of people. I'm a people's guy. So we make hundreds of millions, maybe even billions of women happy with our Pandora. Yes. I had sports team that entertained my whole country for years. And now I'm inviting in, thousands of people around the world to join me. I believe in the energy of many people, because people is the strongest force we have in the world. Forget about the money. People is the real force of everything. And now we're inviting in people from all around the world during 2026 to be a part of our court case against Pandora. So that is the mission for 2026 for us, is to go global.
I think that's a first in the world, that we are making a movement on a big court case going against the bad guys.
I like to do different things, People didn't really see that Pandora one coming either, and they didn't even see me winning my tax cases and all these things. No. But I like when it gets difficult, and I like to think differently, and I like to also what I'm going to do afterwards, after this court case. Now I have 100% focus on winning that case, but later on I'm wanted to make a movement of, we have to do better in this world. Come on, stop running around cheating each other by the first chance you get. We have to have a higher ethic, a higher moral in everything that we do, We come from a country that is supposed to have a very high moral, But again, here's shit, The people are too corrupt about everything. Exactly. Let's get the truth to be the weapon for the future. Let's be honest and say, if we can all just stick to the truth and common sense, I think this world will be a much better place. That being said, I truly believe the world is coming to a better place. And I believe that I want to be a part of it, and I can contribute with this court case. This court case shows how you cheat, but this court case also shows how we put them to the responsibility. Yes. Because nobody else in the whole world but me will beat these guys. Because you need to be really, really strong and possessive, and you need to be very entrepreneurial to beat these guys, because they use all the tools in the book of dirty tricks from lawyers and things like that to beat me. But I already tried it, and I tell you, Pandora is not as bad as the state. They're much more easy to fight Pandora than it was to fight the state, because the state here in Denmark, they were really hard to me. They were so hard to me that I had to leave at the end. I wish to come back again one day when I finished everything and we can make friendships with the state again. But they're really, really hard to a guy like me, because I decided to say, you can't just blackmail me like you do with normal citizens, because I'm Mr. Pandora. It's okay but I created this brand and you have to be thankful to me. But they weren't. They were killing me with everything they had, And at the end, I had to fight them all the way to the top, to the Supreme Court to beat them. But of course I did it, because I'm Jesper. They forget, hey guys, you took the wrong guy here because he's going to go to the very end. And the same with Pandora. You think they hate today that I was the founder of the company. They hate it. But that's also the reason why it's there. It's very simple.
Exactly.
Things are hanging, it's together, it sticks together.
There's a balance.
Balance in that. Because there's a reason why we have Pandora. There's a reason why I won't give up.
Yes, that's great. I think the final question I have for you, Jesper, is once this case is finished, once it's done, simple question, is this the end or is this the beginning?
This is also what we're doing now, we go global. This is the beginning of something completely new. Because we created this brand with a jewelry. We make a lot of women happy, you know, but why not make everybody happy? Why don't we try to get a movement in the world where we really put the people who are bad people to the responsibility? Because the only way they get away with it is because we have to give up on the way. We are drained with money, we're drained with energy. But what will we if we have something, a movement, like my movement, that would be willing to invest the money and be willing to invest the energy into it? My dream is that when people in the future say that there is something, you know, not nice going on somewhere in the world, you know, somebody's cheating somebody, and the little man, he's being really put apart by strong lawyers, that they call us and they will say to the other guys, now Jesper and his team is looking at the case and we all know about them. You can't beat them because they will continue. And maybe that could lead to that the opponent will say, okay, we keep it a little bit down now because now Jesper, he's shaking his little tail behind and say, this is not right what you're doing here. So I hope I can create some kind of justice movement for putting people to responsibility for having done things wrong. Like they did to me. Tax authority did me wrong. I won at the end, but only because I was who I was. Yes. I don't expect that from other people. Pandora cheated me. And now I'm putting them to the justice. Nobody else could do it but me. But I need that somebody will help and support other people in the future, and that could be me. So they will have a backbone in me and my team of lawyers who are trained and skilled for having to take these things away from the fraud. Besides, of course, creating other good things like, you know, events and basically spread positivity. People management gets a little bit away from all the spreadsheets and all the suits and all this, you know. I always say for fun, you know, I love that expression that when you see a guy in suits, you can be sure he's always working for a man in jeans and t-shirt. That's for sure, because he pays the bills. He knows how to make money. He only knows how to get a salary. Yes. But the real hero is the guy in t-shirt and jeans. Did you ever see Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or some of the other guys running around with a suit? Yeah. Never.
One time that was with Trump. So he
had to do that.
He had to do that.
I also had to do, you know, sometimes I have to go to a wedding, you know, and also worry that there are situations where you have to do it. Yeah. But I have to be quite frank. I don't even own a shirt, you know. I only own a t-shirt, you know, because you are who you are. Yes. And that's what you have to show the world, you know. And not that the other guys are wrong, but we can't give them too much power. That's because many global entrepreneurs has one thing in common. Deep down, they're good people. Otherwise, they can't get there because they can't make their success without having other people to follow them. And that is, you know, the strongest skill that I always try to say is my superpower is you have to make people to be able to follow you. And now we want people to follow us on our court case and create a global movement of entrepreneurs, business guys, people who want justice to be a part of our journey. And we have 4,500 already in Denmark. That is incredible. What an energy, what a power. But why couldn't we have the way Jesper is thinking, you know, the quantum mindset? Why can't we have a 450,000 all around the world? Just we make smaller cuts, smaller shares, but then they could all be a part of it, follow us, and put more energy into our case towards injustice.
Also, because I know also you have had you have investor offers already buying into that, but I know the person you are, you would like to get it out for the normal person, for the whole world to. We have to the big
litigation foundations too. Of course, they want to be a part of our case, you know. Yes. But again, that's the boys in jeans and the suits, yeah. Exactly. And when I reopened the case, I had offers of people who wanted to run my case, 3 of the biggest in the world. You know, they looked at the documents, they interviewed my witnesses, and they said, okay, we want to take it and do it for you, finish the case, but we will have 50% of the outcome. I said, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, 50. That's 500 million. I said, why? Yeah, but that's the rule for that. But come on, maybe we can cap it. Let's cap it at 100 million euro. That's a lot of money. No, we want 50%. And then I said, I can do better. I can do better than that. So right now I sold around 10%, and now I can sell more. because I do that to fund the case, to do all the media work, to pay the lawyers, to pay the court cases, to pay everything. People can see how much it costs to run these cases. It costs millions. And I said, I can do better than these litigation guys can do, because they were just coming in their suits and their ties and looking like very fancy, but contracts of 30 pages. And what do I know? I said, no, let's gather the whole people. I will share this profit. Instead of having 2, 3, 4 rich guys in suits in London or New York take that profit, why not split it with thousands of people, 100,000 of people who can get a little cut of that? So for the normal people, that they can be a part of a case like this before, what has never been seen before, $1 billion law case where you can be a part of it, and follow it.
Yeah. I think you're the only person in the world who can make it fun to have such a big court case. It's a serious matter, but you made it into a great entrepreneurship, and that's a skill in itself.
Yeah,
I think.
Gathering the world,
Exactly.
That's what it's about, make things that makes people happy, like sports teams, hundreds of thousands of fans, in Denmark is a little country, but in the other parts of the world, the sports team has millions of fans who has a passion and enthusiasm about it. And also when I feel the enthusiasm and passion about our jewelry, the Pandora jewelry, I love it. And I know I created it, That is so great to feel that passion. And the same now with the court case. Can you imagine you can even make a court case into a passion because we put it to a higher purpose, justice. Yes. And that is what we want to do with this case for the future.
Perfect. I think that's a great way to end it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jesper. Thank you.
Thank you.